to overtime. Dwayne Wade right at the body of Anderson Varejao. Welcome to your Kodak moment, Anderson Varejao.
Doncic pulls up, three-pointer. Bang! Bang! It's good! Doncic wins the game at the buzzer!
Speaking of which, let's talk about that. LeBron James, the resume is pretty insane now. Pretty much leads every single playoff statistic. Reached the finals 10 times in his 7-year career. Of course, 4 and 6, but even then, 4 rings is pretty impressive. Won finals MVP in all of them. I believe it's 4 regular season MVPs as well. All-time leader in all NBA teams. All-time leader in all NBA first team as well. And, I was a Michael Jordan is the GOAT guy. I did believe that. And I mean, here's what I will say. And I've been talking to Patrick and Kevin about this quite a bit. Michael Jordan has had the greatest peak of any NBA player ever. And I do not think it's particularly close. The 2013 LeBron season was insane. People aren't going to like this, but the 2016 Curry season was insane. And that should be ranked high up there. I think Olajuwon's 94 season was insane and deserves more respect. Of course, the Magic Johnson's rookie year was insane. All of those are great all-time seasons. But does it really stack up to late 90s Jordan? I don't think so. I mean, look, he had a lot to work with on his team, but even then, this is someone who was incredibly, incredibly good. And I don't think I'm surprising anyone when I say that. Aside from that, Michael Jordan, he hasn't done as much in the regular season, but it's hard to get past 6-0. It really is. It's hard to get past, undefeated in the finals. Even if he went out in the first round before, he did everything. And I'm not saying LeBron hasn't done everything, but I mean, this sounds asinine to say, but LeBron hasn't dropped, 64 or 60 against the defending champions. He hasn't, or in the first round, whatever. He has gone against all-time great teams, but, he hasn't been stiflingly dominant against those other teams in the same way that Jordan was. Like, no one got out of the East in the 90s while Jordan wasn't there. Well, Jordan was there, excuse me. Like, the Knicks had probably, even though they didn't win titles, probably had their greatest team ever in the 90s, and they couldn't get it done. Same with the Pacers. It's not even a hot take that the Pacers had their best team in the mid-90s, and they couldn't get it done. Or in the late 90s, excuse me. The Cavs. Like, look, outside of the LeBron era, that is a criminally underrated Cavs team. Daugherty and Price and all of them. That's a great team all time, and it got brushed under the rug because Jordan destroyed them, completely dominated them. So, where has LeBron done something like that? I don't know. On the other hand, though, LeBron has reached the finals more times than he hasn't in his career. He has made 10 of the last 17 finals and 10 of the, and whatever it is, 9 of the last 10 finals. That's an insane, unprecedented level of dominance there in terms of getting your team to the finals. I mean, it's that longevity that makes LeBron not just great, but, potentially the GOAT. And I'm starting to listen to that part. I am someone who cares about championships a lot. The 6-0 in the finals thing was huge for me, but the more I think about it, if we're talking about who's the GOAT, we're talking about career-wise. We're talking about who had the best career. And at that point, I think I do have to say it's LeBron James. Because LeBron James has had the best career of any NBA player ever. He has 4 championships in which he won every finals MVP. You can argue in 2012 between LeBron and Wade, but I would still give it to LeBron. You could argue in 2016 that Kyrie should have had a chance at winning finals MVP. You can argue it. I don't agree with it as much. I think, at best they could have tied it. especially with Kyrie Irving hitting that shot, because that is, immortalized as an incredibly important shot. And yeah, the final, he's reached the finals 10 times, man. That's insane. That's a crazy amount of finals. I mean, and even then he's gotten there with the worst teams. Like 2007, they had no business making the finals. That the Pistons team imploded. The Heat team was hurt. There was next to no other competition. Like maybe the very, very late tail end Pacers, but even then that's doing a little too much. And the Celtics didn't have the big three yet. So 2007, it was all about who came out of the West. So, LeBron reached the finals, which is still insane. But I would argue that the competition there wasn't as big. But then we move on. 2011, you had the finals implosion. We've talked about how awful that was. I mean, I made the claim that if you go 2011 off season and previously, LeBron did not have the same career as good as Dwayne Wade. I still stand by that. But look, that is the last time LeBron has failed, like straight up failed in the playoffs. That's the last time it's happened. 2012. Look, the Thunder did not know what they were doing on defense and did an awful job trying to stop LeBron James. He still took all those opportunities, which in 2011 he did not. He took all of those opportunities. 2013, the Ray Allen shot is of course massive. Like you can't underrate that shot. LeBron James was not playing poorly that series. The Spurs were playing incredibly and then dropped the ball once, and that was all the Heat needed to see. 2014, that was just the Spurs year, man. That is the most beautiful basketball I have ever seen. It really is. 2015, had no one to work with and still took the Warriors to 6. That's insane. Of course, there were issues that the Warriors were not the team that we know now. Andre Iguodala is supposed to be the LeBron stopper and kept him to, a strong 31-9-9. Come on now. 2016, that may be the greatest, single accomplishment of LeBron James's. That is the single greatest accomplishment of LeBron James's career. I think the loss of Andrew Bogut and Draymond Green in that series cannot be overstated. But even then, greatness requires a bit of luck. That's it. Greatness requires a bit of luck. Kawhi's shot was a bit of luck. That's still greatness. The ping pong balls getting the Spurs, Tim Duncan, that they've still been a great organization around that. Greatness requires luck, and luck favors those who are prepared. So it makes sense that the greatest would be lucky. And LeBron James was a little lucky. Well, it's sad to say that he was lucky that someone snapped their leg in half, but he was a little lucky with that. He was a little lucky that the NBA suspended Draymond for 2 games, in what could have been the deciding factor. You can say that without being biased at all. Those were huge parts. But all of that doesn't change the fact that this guy went absolutely insane to get finished what he said he would do. He said he was bringing the Cavs a chip, and he did that. He came home and did that. Kyrie was incredible game 6 and 7 when it mattered most. Doesn't change the fact that, LeBron was still incredible. That defensive play, the block on Iguodala, blocked by James, may be the greatest play we've ever seen in a finals game. It may be. Michael Jordan had his game 6 game winner against the Utah Jazz to win it all. That he had, yeah. I'm not understating Michael Jordan by talking about LeBron, and it's also not the other way around. You can appreciate one legend without destroying the other. I've come to the side of LeBron James as the GOAT because the GOAT means career. And LeBron James, in my opinion, undoubtedly has had the better career than Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan has certainly had the better peak. And I would say Michael Jordan's 4 best years were all better than LeBron's. Well, actually, I can't say that. Of the 3 best years between LeBron James and Michael Jordan, Jordan would have 2. Of the 5 best years between LeBron James and Michael Jordan, Jordan would have 4. But among the 15 best years of those 2 combined, I think it would genuinely be like 9 to 6 for LeBron. Because LeBron has had this sustained dominance, this sustained peak that no one else has ever had. And that's what makes LeBron the GOAT now, in my opinion. And if we're talking about greatest player in one single season, I would still take Michael Jordan. However, if we're talking about greatest of all time, as in the single greatest career in NBA history, it is LeBron James for me, and it is not particularly close anymore. I've had to re-examine everything with this championship, and I have done so, and I believe I am at least on the right wavelength now. And look, Jordan's not playing anymore. Jordan can't up his case for being the greatest of all time. LeBron still can.